YouTube. How you guys doing? I hope you're having an amazing day so far. It's Friday. Happy weekend. You know, Friday is the one day that many people goes to work with a smile in their face because everybody knows that it's about to be a weekend. So we all enjoy Friday. So I have that feeling. But like for me, my Friday, it was my day off, all right? So I had to run down to Philadelphia to take care of some business, but I'm already on my way back. So I already had this plan since last night that I was gonna do a live stream regarding property prices in Kinshasa. For those of you that have left the country for many years and you are looking into probably buying a house and you're not sure what are the property prices in Kinshasa and things like that. Well, this live stream is only going to do exactly just that. I am going to probably open your minds and open your eyes and certain things that you may not consider, certain things that you didn't think about, and probably prepare you better to make the move whenever you are ready to buy your new house, all right? So just to get this out of the way, guys, don't be fooled by anyone, okay? Buying house, buying a house in Kinshasa is not as cheap as you might think, and I'll tell you why. So when you join the chat from wherever, make sure you let me know in the comment section down below where you're watching from. And also remember to hit the subscribe button if you have not already. And don't forget to hit the like button for the YouTube algorithm, okay? So check this out. Many people, for some reason, think that with 10,000, $15,000, even $20,000 the most, they will be able to afford a house or, in either center city, Kinshasa, whether it is in like let's just say Matete, Lemba, or those area, right? Or even Limete. Well, if that's your thinking, well, this is time for you to probably save up a little bit more. 5 or 10 years ago, including me, we all used to think that Kinkoli or Nsele area, there is insecurity. Nobody wants to live there. We considered it almost as a slum, right? A place that nobody will ever consider buying over there. But let me tell you this. My recent trip to Kinshasa, which was in May of this year, I was there for about 6 weeks, right? Before I came back to America. I myself own a residential property in Kinkoli somewhere. I bought this back in 2020. It's about 9 meter. All right, I don't even know how to say this right. All right, I think it's like 9 meter by 30. Yeah, that's the capacity of the of my place. It's 9 meter by 30. This was back in 2020, and I spent nearly 16,000 US dollars. Keep in mind, oh boy. Oh, let me bring this back up. I'm sorry, this just collapsed on me. Oh man. All right. This was back in 2020, and like I was saying, it was 9 meter by 30, right? And this cost me almost $16,000. Keep in mind, this is an empty land. It is in the residential area. People already live there. People move there. There is electricity. There is water. 16,000. with nothing built in it except for like a small studio. You know how people do hangar over there, right? That's pretty much it. So if you hire an engineer to draft a plan for you, it's gonna cost you at least $300 to do so. Just like I did. That's about how much it cost me when they did my plan, because I already have my design and everything. When I'm ready to buy it to build the house, I already know what to expect. And you, depending on what you're planning on building there, you may spend another between probably 40,000 up to 100,000, depending on like how much money you have to build your house or however you want to build it, including the purchasing costs, right? When you first purchase the property. Now you see where you're going with this. So if we have to go back to like center city area of Kinshasa, right? You are looking at probably 4 or 5 times more than that. There are properties that you sell in Kinshasa, depending on where it is owned. You would be able to buy a house here in America very easily. And I'm talking about like a nice suburban area. I myself grew up in Messina, Sunfield. Those of you that are familiar with where that is, my parents' property, like the very same house that I grew up in, it's priced on the markets now. They're not selling it. But we ask, realtor, just so we are curious. If we're to sell it now, it's not gonna be less than $400,000. That's according to the realtor. Those real estate agents, that's what they told us how much that house worth. Now, if you think about it, right, that's a lot of money. In my area here, where I live, I would consider it it's a nice neighborhood. There is no crime here. It's a nice school district. It's very laid back. I love this area. And I've always lived here since I moved in the United States. But that is in Congo, right? So if you buy a house in Congo or you own a house in a prime area, you'll be able to buy a beautiful home in America, no questions asked. I just wanted you to get an idea of how much money you're looking at when you want to buy a property. If you're looking to buy a 20 by 20 in Kinkoli, that is near the Lumumba Boulevard, prepare yourself. You're looking at between $140,000 up to $160,000 for that piece of property. I wish I was making this up, but the reason I know this is because out of curiosity, when I was in Kinshasa, I decided to go over there because my brother stays in my property, right? Because, it supervises it, it makes sure that everything is fine. So I went there. We went and spoke to real estate agents. They were telling us how much properties cost around that area. It was shocking to me. And I'm saying to myself, like, 5 years ago, these same properties didn't cost this much. 5 years later, believe it or not, that's how much money you're spending on it. And now you see the importance of owning real estate, right? The importance of purchasing properties in different areas, because the property value only increases over time. I spent $16,000 for a 9 meter by 30 back in 2020, right? On the very same street when I was in Kinshasa like 2 months ago, I I spoke to a lady that lives on the streets that I know very well. She was showing me this guy that just bought. It was, I believe, it was 7 meter by 14 for nearly $20,000, and this is an empty land, an empty piece of property that I'm talking about here. You understand what I'm saying? So if you think about it, the house markets in Kinshasa is not getting any cheaper. So if you're considering to buy a property, this is the right time. This is the right opportunity for you. Because if you wait any longer than 2 or 3 years from now, believe it or not, I'm talking about Kinkoli. Let's just stay in Kinkoli because that's where I own my property. In Kinkoli, you'll be looking at anywhere between 25,000 up to maybe $35,000 for an empty piece of property. So houses are very, very expensive in Kinshasa. They not what they used to be like 10 years ago anymore. Because I grew up in Messina, right? Sunfield. I grew up there, and every time I visit, when I go to Kinshasa and I go to my neighborhood where I grew up, I say to myself, I will never ever live in this area again. Like, I can't. It's too crowded, it's too many people, traffic is crazy. I just can't put up with it. But every time I go to Kinkoli, right, you just feel this breeze coming from the river, because the Congo River is like literally down there. Like it's just probably 2-3 miles down the road. You just feel the natural breeze. It really makes you want to stick around. It makes you want to stay there. When I remember when I had just bought this property back in 2020, right? It was like 2 weeks after I took my mom there so she can see and appreciate. So my mom goes in there, we took a seat, because there's like an avocado tree on the property. So we were sitting, underneath the tree, and we were just getting this natural breeze. My mom is like, oh my God, I don't want to go back. Like, I just want to stay here, move here, and that's it. And that's how peaceful and beautiful these areas are getting. Believe it or not, you've probably heard about Plaza. Plaza is like this new community that is like developing rapidly in Kinkoli. Like, there's beautiful properties, beautiful homes, beautiful flat hotels being built there, and just amazing, amazing developments, properties taking places over there. And a lot of people that I know from America, that I travel with in Kinshasa, now they're not interested in staying like in center cities anymore whenever they visit Kinshasa, for obvious reasons. Too many traffic, it's crazy, like it's crowded, like it's just so ridiculous, right? But when you drive past the international airports, the traffic gets so much better. And that's probably the most ideal area you can possibly drive and be as peaceful as possible. Whenever I'm driving around Kinkoli or in Taylor area, the road is always open. There is less traffic, and it feels just different. And people are moving there. They're preferring to stay in those areas when they visit in Kinshasa, because there's less traffic. It's near the airport. If it's their day to fly back to wherever they are visiting from, they don't even have to worry about traffic. They just hop on the car. They drive like 10-15 minutes and they're at the airport. And personally, and that's also what I am considering doing, I said to myself that this was my last time paying someone to stay at their property. I am going to be building my own, so when I visit next time I'm going to Kinshasa, I can just have a peace of mind and stay there. And eventually I will turn it into an Airbnb business opportunity. So when people are visiting from Kinshasa, I'll just get to promote my Airbnb on my YouTube channel, and I'll be making residual income from that easily, right? So what I'm just trying to tell you, if you're looking into buying a property in Kinshasa, this is the best time to do so. But if you have the kind of money where you can afford to buy in Matete, Lemba, Ngaliema, Ngaba, wherever, right? I mean, go for it. That's good. But I feel like since Kinkoli and these, communities are emerging over there, and there are a lot of diasporans, buying in those area, it is bringing values. Plus, there's like all of these supermarkets owned by Indians or, I don't know, Lebanese. They're also in Kinkoli area. So development is moving towards that direction as well. So if you own a property there, the property is going to worth much more over time because of the activities that are moving there. People are moving there for a very good reason. So the sooner you move there, the much better you will be, because I remember back in 2007, my father sold one of his properties located in Bibua, like right along Lumumba's Boulevard. This was back in 2007, and he sold that for, I believe, 9,000 US dollars. Now, that's very same property is I couldn't believe it. My mom showed me, I didn't even remember it, right? So if we have to buy that house, we want to rebuy that back from them, it's going to cost us between 140 to 160,000 US dollars. That is insane. That is insane. So you getting an idea like how rapidly the property prices will increase over time. And that's why, like, no matter the financial hardship, the last thing I want to do is to think about selling a portion of my property just for money. I'm never going to do that, because the value increases over time, and you just sit there and let your money grow. That's pretty much what it is. So if you're looking to buy property in Kinkoli area, you're much better off. And what I'm telling you is that, like, the longer you wait, the further you will buy a house in Kinkoli area. Because where I own a property is like one street before Lumumba's Boulevard. So I'm not really too far off from the main road. And believe it or not, the houses in where I own, where it cost me 16,000, 3 years later, the same dimension, some people are spending between $25,000 to $30,000 to acquire the same land that I acquired when I bought it in 2020. So you better believe that whatever you were thinking to do, if you want to own a property in Kinshasa, again, like I said, if you have the money to buy in center city area or places that is near downtown or whatever, like Willery, you're looking at 250,000 and more. And that's just like a regular, probably old-fashioned looking homes that Belgians left in Kinshasa. But we're talking about new developments that are being built in Kinshasa. Like the one that I have on my thumbnail, when you clicked on the video, trust me, that house, believe it or not, that's the price to it, 600,000 US dollar. And like I said in the beginning of the video, if you own a beautiful home in a much nicer neighborhood in Kinshasa, you will be able to sell that property and buy a beautiful home in a suburban area out here in Pennsylvania, United States of America. I'm not even exaggerating. You can go and just find out on your own. And I'll tell you this, I know a friend of mine that I grew up with, they own a house in Njili, Quartier 6, right? They recently sold their house for, this is, it was a 15 by 20, I believe it was. They sold it for 250,000 US dollars. 250,000. And I'm talking about like an old-fashioned looking house that is not furnished, because the guy that bought that property is gonna tear it down and rebuilds like a much beautiful homes in there. So now you're getting an idea what you were looking at. My cousin here in America, when I was in Kinshasa, he was in there. He was there too. We live like not too far from each other. We live nearby. I visited his house because he's building his house in Kinkoli too. On that street, they call it's like there's like a new community that they call European Union, so Union Européenne. It's somewhere in Kinkoli, right? Oh man, it's dark. I can't barely see my face. All right, it's the lighting. All right, I do apologize. Let me. All right, I'm driving, so I have to be a little more careful while I'm doing this. All right, check this out. So I visited my cousin's property, and that on that street, I forgot the name of the streets though. Nobody by Congolese diasporans that own on our streets. Everybody is building. Look at this home. I wish I would have filmed that. Unfortunately, I didn't bring my camera. Maybe I should have thought of using my phone to just film that very streets. It looks so beautiful, and that place has the potential. I don't even know how to say it, but long story short, those properties on that streets are stunning. They're so beautiful. And I want you to consider this, all right? If you're ever thinking about buying a house in Kinshasa, this is the right moment for you. And I couldn't recommend Kinkoli enough, because it's developing so rapidly that all you need to do is get in contact with real estate agent. They'll tell you the prices based on, the capacity of the house that you're looking to buy. Whether you just want to buy a house that is already built, that's up to you. You just want to buy an empty land so you can build your own house in there, that's also up to you. But what I'm letting you know is that the prices are increasing like every year. All right, let me park somewhere and grab some comments here, because it looked like people were commenting in the comment section. Since I was driving, I didn't get the chance to get to them. All right, let me see. Now let me find a different parking spot for better lighting. All right, because I want y'all to have a good experience watching this live stream. We talk about this stuff because I believe it's important. And as Congolese, we all trying to own something and have something meaningful that we could be proud of back home, right? And if I ever see like any piece of information that could be helpful to some of y'all, I'm gonna come here and talk to you about it. All right, let me go ahead and just grab these comments real quick. So let's hear. I gotta take my glasses because I can't see nothing with these on. Oh, how much for the worst neighborhoods in Kinshasa? How much for your mother's place in Kinshasa? And would you consider a home average, above or below average? How much was placed in Kinkoli? Would you consider your home average or below average? How much regular electricity blackouts in Kinshasa? How many hours per day on average? Uh, what the best businesses do in Congo with 10,000 US dollars? How's the crime rates in Kinshasa versus in large city in America? Crime rates in Kinshasa, I'll tell you this. Uh, there is, I believe every society have their security concerns, but first of all, you have to think of it this way. People don't bear arms in Kinshasa. There is this phenomenon that they call Kuluna. These are these bandits that walk around with machetes, but they do their operations in neighborhoods that are less privileged, where crime rate is high, just like in regular cities in any countries. So in America, I live in Pennsylvania, like in Philadelphia area, in these like low income communities. Crime rates are much higher in those area, and shootings happen probably weekly. But where I live here in this area, I've been living here for almost 12 years now. I've never heard a single gunshot. So in Kinshasa is no different. So to answer your question, the crime rates compared to a major city here in America is like zero to none. You don't even have to worry about it. But I'll say this though, you see, like here, like how in America, like they build this uh, single family house or even townhomes, like townhouses or whatever. They don't even worry about the fencing as much because people bear arms in America. If you're trying to intrude into someone's house, there are chances of you getting shot because you don't know what they own in their properties. But in Kinshasa, though, on the other hand, you will have to make sure you secure your property, like the tall brick, fencing. That's the standards in Kinshasa. Once you have that, that is the number one thing that keeps you secure from these intruders. And now that they're bringing new developments, like gated communities are becoming a thing in Kinshasa. Like the security, it's like 24/7, and these places are just multiplying day after day in Kinshasa. So it's unfortunately we live in a world where your safety comes with a price. You have to pay for it. You want to afford a house in a beautiful neighborhood where crime rate is very slow. You're gonna have to spend a lot of money for it. But like in Kinkole, I saw a comment there where they ask whether I consider my house that I bought below average. No, it's not below average for that neighborhood. It definitely isn't. My brother lives there. They have never had run into any issue. There has never been any type of security concern whatsoever. And I am probably one of the last people that bought around that time frame who has not built yet. And when I visited like 2 months ago, I was kind of ashamed because there are people that bought after me. They've already built their homes. Mine is still not built yet. Because you guys know, my residential property is not the only one that I have. I prioritized my farm more than anything else. So my farm is my number one priority because in my head I was thinking I will put more money in there. I want to invest as much as I can on my farmland, so we could be making money off of it, right? Until these, tribal conflicts occurred. But I'm no God to predict the future. If I had known that that's what would have happened, I probably would have invested that money to start building my property. But it's not too late because I'm about to start building. I'm about to start building like really, really soon. So that's really not something. That's not something that I'm so concerned or even worried about. There. I hope I answered your question, man. I live in Dallas, Texas, so I'm used to few gunshots. Thanks for your response. Well, I don't know what it's like out there in Dallas, Texas. I have friends that live in that area too. A good friend of mine, DJ, he uh, he used to live here in Pennsylvania, like right across the street from my house. He moved to Texas, and his mom and his younger brother, so they all live there. I've been to Texas once. I was in downtown Dallas. This was back in 2014. I was in Irving. I was in Irving in Texas. I spent most of my time in Irving, and then I went to Fort Worth, somewhere in Fort Worth area. And then we came back. So not too familiar with Texas or with Texas or Dallas or anything from that matter. What the best business to do in Congo with $10,000? Well, there are multiple businesses that you can start with that amount of money. I mean, whether it is a restaurant or starting a bar or um, there's just so many, possibilities. So just there's just so many opportunities with that amount of money. Because if you going to be renting out of someone's, property to have your business, to establish your business there, you will probably need about 1,500, for the deposit and all the other taxes that the real estate agent will have you pay. So you will have something like 8,500 or even 7,000 some dollars, to play around with. So depending on what you are planning on doing with the $10,000, you sure as hell you will have something going on for yourself. So $10,000 is about the right amount of money to start, a small business and work your way up. Like I said, I mentioned bar. Bar is a really good business in any part of the world, and in Kinshasa is not different. My father owned multiple bars across the city, and they all did really really well. And that even include in areas where there was like multiple bars, right? I always come up with this example. I've been to Miami twice. Every time I go to Miami, I will always make sure we go to Ocean Drive. So Ocean Drive is lit. If you've been to Miami and you know what I'm talking about, if you've been to Ocean Drive, you know that street is long and it's filled with bars and restaurants. But I'm pretty sure anybody that owns a bar and a restaurant on Ocean Drive, they make money because it is a touristic, place. There's multiple people. You can't fit everybody onto one bar on one spot. I mean, even nightclubs and stuff. You can't. So you need to have all of that. So people choose where they want to go dine or they want to go have a drink and things like that. And one example of that, like in Kinshasa, there is this place we call Kimbuta, right? Kimbuta is almost like a street that is filled with bars across from each other all along the boulevard. And you go to every single one of these bars, everybody's sitting somewhere having a drink. And the diversity is that there is some bars that play loud music to the point where you feel like your ears are about to explode. There are places they play like slow jam type of music. There are even places where they don't even play music at all. So it depends on you. Do you like loud music? Do you like slow jams? Do you like places where they play music low so where you don't have to scream off the top of your lung for someone that is sitting next to you to hear what you're about to tell them? Or you just like places where they don't play music, you just want to enjoy your drink, have a smooth conversation with friends and family, and get out of there. All right. So you have all of that. So it is up to you to decide what you want to do with it. All right. So I think with 10,000 US dollars, you may start a really good business there. Bar is a really good one to consider. A restaurant is a very good one you could, consider as well. And many others that I'm not even, thinking about. A salon or like a hair salon or just you name it. It's tons of them out there. All right. So let me grab another comments here down here. Kimbuta, thanks. Oh, hell yeah. So if you've been to Kinshasa recently, you might know what I'm talking about when I mentioned Kimbuta there, right? So, and by the way, speaking of Kimbuta, properties in Kimbuta. All right, when I was in Kinshasa, one of my big homie back in the States here, he, I think he just started this foundation in Kinshasa. I forgot the name of it. So while I was in Kinshasa, he was back here, right? As he was preparing his trip to Congo, he was looking into some different properties, and he wanted me to speak to a real estate agent about, prices of the house, like home prices in Kimbuta area, and maybe like adjacent area, right? And the prices that he had in his mind were probably, I'd say, 30% less than what the actual, home prices cost over there. When I told him how much money he was looking at, it was like, that's impossible. I said, well, wait till you come here, maybe you can find out on your own. So he spoke to other people, they told him the exact same thing. Then he was like, man, now how, since when, like, homes are very expensive in those areas? I told him, I'm like, it's that they're bringing all the supermarkets. These Lebanese and Indians are building supermarkets across the city, and he's not doing anything by driving the real estate prices up. Like, if you own a property in those area, you're golden. Where do you find the most corruption in Kinshasa? Government, police, business, etc. The government is definitely corrupt, just like here in America. Police are corrupt too. Business, certain businesses. I don't know, like, in terms of corporations in Kinshasa. I don't know if we have reached that level yet, but it's just that you just have to know what you're standing for. Of course, it's not like when you go to Kinshasa, you're not going to pay. No, there are some sort of like taxes that you will have to pay when you're starting a business, because you need to be recognized. You need to have some sort of paperwork coming from local offices and local authority. All right. Otherwise, if you don't have that, then the country is like, there is no social order whatsoever. So you will need that, okay? But just keep in mind, it's not going to be as much as it will cost you, for instance, if you were starting a business here in America. So these are the things that you need to, consider when you are planning on starting a small business in Kinshasa and things like that. So when it comes down to buying properties, so just remember, the prices of properties in Kinshasa is not getting any cheaper. Like, Kinkoli already used to be considered like slum or like underprivileged area. Now people are not saying anything like that anymore about Kinkoli. So you go to Kinkoli, you see these new neighborhoods, new developments. Oh my God, it's so beautiful. Like I said, the next time I'm flying to Kinshasa, I'm staying in Kinkoli. That's the bottom line. Whether I manage to build my house or not, I am going to stay in Kinkoli. There's less traffic. Almost all of this new, attraction places that we go to, all of these touristic sites, one of the best ones are found in those areas. Kingakati, Safari Beach, Tampa, Tampa Beach. What else? Dumi. There's just so many touristic sites that I can think of, all of the Picasso and all of that good stuff. I've been to all of these places. They're amazing. They're beautiful. I had a friend's birthday party out there. He invited me over. So I went to Picasso. Man, I had one of the greatest time of my life in Kinshasa. That was there. You literally see like the Ntela River, Rio by the beach. And people are drinking here. The music is playing. On the other side of the streets, there is just some other activities going on. People are riding around their ATV, like speedboat, and it's just so like mesmerizing. The experience is so amazing. So like I just wanted you to know, if you're considering to buy a house in Kinshasa, this is the time to do it. Don't wait any longer, because the property prices are, increasing day after day in Kinshasa. So make sure you get your finances straight so you don't, miss out on these opportunities. Because at the end of the day, we all want to be winners. If I can find something or some valuable information that will be beneficial to you guys, my audience, I will bring it to your screen. And every research that I come up with, I make sure that I bring it onto the channel to kind of bring awareness so that all of us could go and own properties back in the country. That's all I have for you today. Thanks again for tuning in for this another live stream. Make sure to hit the like button to help out with the YouTube algorithm. Share a video with a friend, and I will really appreciate it. Until the next one, I'll see you guys soon. Have a nice weekend.